let's play this out the most positive way possible. Let's say that Guardians next week pulls in for its third weekend 87-ish worldwide. Okay, domestic, international combined. Let's say it gets somewhere around that total.
Yep,
that's going to pull it in basically to 600 million for its complete cum. Here's the issue there. It's still got to find 200 million, and that's a hard thing to do after the third weekend.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I think it'll be around 650 by the end of next weekend, which
is
a lot better than what I anticipate. Well, because it's going to rack up some money during the week.
So, but $1.50 still. I honestly, here's what I think. I think it can do it. I'm hopeful that it can do it, and I'll tell you why. Well, I mean, we're not talking about this thing making a profit.
No.
But if it could break even with the budget it had, I hope it sends a message to Marvel and to Disney.
Yes.
That the holds are there if you provide quality content. If you can't provide quality content, the days of just throwing out crap on the wall, with Brie Larson and Captain Marvel like they did before Endgame, the days of that's over. You can't do that anymore. You're going to have to give us good stuff. The audience has caught on to the Phase 4 fiasco. The Phase 5 dive is here. And I'm hopeful for a Phase 6 fix. Of course, I'm also hopeful for a leadership change at Disney and Marvel, but we'll see how that goes.
I'm just hoping that we get films that come in the future that not only entertain everyone, they're good for families, and they're not going to make you feel like you have to close your wallet again. I think everyone's tired of this. Everyone's just tired of constant negativity, but it's forced negativity. It's literally going by the numbers as well as their track record. If you have a history of all of these things looking at a somewhat failure, then people are automatically going to predict failure. It is constantly repeating the cycle, and that's where Disney is right now, especially with Marvel and their remake properties. They're not taking a chance anymore, and that's the one thing we've been saying for 2 years. They're not taking chances on new things and expanding their box to see where the money can lie.
Yeah.
Well, there's no better possible scenario for fans of good content, the type of content Disney wants put out, than for Guardians of the Galaxy to do well, for The Little Mermaid to fail, and for Indiana Jones. We suspect, we haven't seen the entire movie, but we've seen significant portions of it now that don't look good. But for Indy 5 to fail, if the two movies that are so problematic fail and Guardians of the Galaxy does well, what better message could possibly be sent to Disney? All they care about is money.
Yeah.
So give them the money.
Yeah, that's just it. And it's I'm just kind of glancing over the chat here. Thank you so much to my wrenches for helping me out tonight with the member chats, especially with Mike not here. Thor 4 did not turn a $100 million profit. I don't know how you calculate that. $250 million production budget, another $150 or so in marketing. That was a $400 million spend altogether. It pulled in about $750. And a lot of that, of course, came from international. So that's a lower take than domestic. Thor 4 lost somewhere around, they didn't lose much. It might have lost around 25 million or so with the total spend. But it did not come anywhere close to 100 million in profit. Now, if you're saying that because you read a Deadline article, and I really haven't, I need to take some time to address that again. This is a busy time of year. The Deadline articles factor in a lot of things that frankly don't exist. And I'm not blaming Deadline for that. It's just that they're operating. We've talked about this before on a live show. They're operating under an old system. They even caveat their own articles like they did with, forget which one it was, maybe Doctor Strange or one of them last year, where they're like, yeah, we assumed, $200 million or $170 million in streaming licensing and all this, but that's just money that Disney's paying itself. Exactly. That's why this doesn't work anymore. The PVOD.
Do you think they do that purposefully? We know that the trades want to help the industry. Why would you not? If you're covering an industry, you'd rather it not go belly up because then you have nothing to cover. But do you think that Deadline and some others do that where they redefine what a flop is by adding in all of these little quirks and gimmicks when in reality, if you just limit it to the theatrical release intake, it's clearly not making a profit?
Well, yes and no, and let me explain why. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of the mouth. What you have to understand here is I always go back and look historically speaking. And Tom knows what I'm about to start talking about here. You look back into movies like in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, in that era, especially once licensing out to television became big time, right? When they would take a movie, it would go to rentals, it would go to physical sales, VHS, Laserdisc in the early days, and then, of course, even Betamax. All right, throw that in there, and then early DVD, so on and so forth. They all had these windows, right? So even if you didn't make your money in the box office, that was okay. That's why studios were more inclined to spend additional dollars producing and marketing films, because a lot of movies, they would anticipate, we're going to spend what we spend now, anticipating a positive return on investment over the course of 2 or 3 years in some cases. Not all the time, but in some cases. So it's a different dynamic, because they used to license out to, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, Stars, whatever it was back then. Then it would have another tranche of going to, TBS or TNT cable channels. And then it would go to broadcast television, ABC, NBC, CBS. You had years and years and years of revenue from these films that often made more money after they left the theater than at the theater. One of the things that we've been covering, Pro, is you'll know this. What do we always talk about when we listen to Warner Brothers earnings calls? What does David Zaslav say? What do his boys always say over there? Collapsing this whole window, this window into streaming, is stupid.
Big time.
That's why. That's what they're talking about. Especially with a company like Warner Brothers that has a massively long history of doing everything I just talked about that used to happen routinely in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s, is you had all of these windows of licensing content out. The idea was that you kind of wanted to get to a point where you just about broke even, maybe even made a little bit money at the box office. If you made a butt ton of money at the box office, that was amazing. That was great. But you had a long shelf life after that because of how this windowing used to be set up. They're not doing that anymore, especially Disney. Disney is the worst offender of this. They consume all of their own product now. It goes straight to Disney Plus. By the way, Tom knows this, I bet. Did you notice how Ant-Man 3, maybe they did this for Wakanda Forever too. I don't remember, but they finally actually gave those films a small PVOD and physical media sale window.
I've noticed that,
before it went to Disney Plus. Like, it was a couple of weeks. It wasn't much, but they gave them a couple of weeks to sell PVOD, to sell physical media. Why? Because Disney finally recognized dropping this on Disney Plus the same day we drop it on iTunes or put the Blu-rays in the store, we're not selling any of these things because everybody's just going to go consume it on Disney Plus.
Yep. It shouldn't take a genius to figure that out either.
They're stretching the windows back out. Like, they're realizing that we really screwed everything up. So in the old days, a movie like this with Guardians could work if it gets up to $750 million in this case to get closer to a break-even point.
And also, as you've said many times, these studios they're not investing this kind of money with the belief they're going to come out even. That's not part of the calculus. The idea is
Absolutely
that you've got to make something back significant, commensurate to the ROI that you intended. Now, let me tell you why I don't give Deadline sort of the same benefit that you're giving them at the moment. And it's very simple to me. Mm-hmm. Folks out there, if you're looking to buy a car, and let's say that you go to a car expert research website, and let's say that you pull up a Tesla, and in that article from that website, it calculates in the amount of money that you'll likely spend on gas driving the Tesla, and it calculates it based on other cars, vehicles, and what their average fuel costs are. Well, I'm not going to use that website anymore. And when Deadline calculates in $100 million or more in secondary sales for Disney movies, when we all know they go to Disney Plus and make nothing, then I'm going to have that same kind of reaction. So just like the Tesla and the gas prices, Disney's not making anything off of these movies once they're out of theaters. And I think these experts should know it, should show it, tell the rest of us this.